Good morning, and thank you for watching Amplified Grace again. Today, I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about spiritual warfare. We all deal with it on a daily basis. I just want to reveal some truths to you this morning. If you don't mind, I will be out of here. It won't be a 15-minute cast like it usually is because I just want to drop something on you that will revitalize your day, that will amplify your grace. Okay, so look at verse 10. Let me pull this up. I just want to deal with this. Well, first of all, in the scripture, we know that we hear, put on the whole armor of God that you may be able to stand against the power of the devil, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, yada, yada, yada. We know this, but let's deal with something. You can't really deal with that until you really deal with verse 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. Now that H there should actually be capitalized because it's talking about God or Jesus in this particular text. So it should be capitalized, but it says, finally, be strong in the Lord, that's one, and in the power of his might. So if we're going to pull some points out of this text, the first two things that I would tell you to A, be strong in the Lord and understand what it means to be in the power of his might. And those are the two things that we are going to expose today. I want to look at this in the King James Version. Excuse me, in the Amplified Bible. This very same text. It says, in conclusion, be strong in the Lord, be empowered through your union with him, draw your strength from him, that strength which what? His boundless might provide. So we have two things here. Be strong in the Lord is to be empowered through your union with him. So you should be empowered just because you have a union with Christ. How do we get empowered? Well, we get empowered through increasing knowledge of God. Now let's pull some points out of what it means to be empowered through your union with God. I want you to go with me parallel to Paul's letter to the Colossians. Okay, the church of Colossae. We're going to go to chapter 1. We're going to go down just a little bit. And let me get in the King James Version because the Amplified just exposes this substance right out of the King James. We can draw close to the Greek original text. Okay, wonderful. Okay, verse 9 it says, for this cause we also, since the day we heard it, do not cease to pray for you and to desire that you might be filled with knowledge of his will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding. That's one principle. So we need to be filled with the knowledge of his will and all wisdom and spiritual understanding. Okay, that we might walk worthy of the Lord unto all pleasing. Okay, being fruitful in every good work and increasing in knowledge of God. Okay, here it is. Strengthened with all might according to his glorious power until all patience and long suffering with joyfulness. Here it is. Giving thanks unto the Father which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in the light, who has delivered us from the power of darkness and has translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, who is his true Son, Jesus, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sin. Now I want to stop right there. We this there's so much in here in this little time. I really can't deal with the catch me soon on, but we need to do it. Now it says right here, who has delivered us, verse 13, from the power of darkness and hath translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son. Huh. So we have been delivered from the power of darkness, but we oftentimes live as if we are bound by darkness. Huh. It says, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sin. Huh. Well, I was able to pull some points out about what the blood has accomplished. First of all, the blood releases you from strongholds. Okay, somebody don't believe me. The blood releases you from strongholds. Now, let me go back to Ephesians and prove it to you. Because some of y'all don't know what he's talking about. The blood releases you from strongholds. Chapter 6. Okay. Ephesians 6. Now, it says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. So the very thing that redeemed us, blood, we don't wrestle against that because the blood paid all of that for us. You see that? The blood paid us. So you don't fight blood with blood. No, we battle against things that we cannot see because we wrestle against the thought. We wrestle against the premise of where the devil comes to bring incantations on our mind and bring about illusions within our mind. So I want to show you back in Colossians, okay? Stay with me here, and I promise you'll catch it. Now, I'm going to go down in chapter 2 of Colossians. All right, let's look at verse 15. And having spoiled principalities and power, he made a show of them openly, triumphing over them in it. So he triumphed. He became victorious over the very thing that we wrestle against. Not against flesh and blood, no, against principalities and powers are what we wrestle against. And not only that, you may say, okay, what about the spiritual wickedness in high places of the dark? Well, we just read in Colossians 1 that he translated us from darkness into light. Do we see that? So it releases, the blood releases us from strongholds, and this comes the knowledge of his will, okay, fully pleasing him. And the only way we please him is Hebrews 11:6 says through faith. That's the only way we do it. We operate in faith because it's something that just produces a corresponding effect to what we believe. If you believe you're a man, then you begin to act like a man. How do I know this? There are some women who believe that they're men and they act like a man. So you believe something and you begin to act like it just naturally. It's not anything you have to learn to do. It's something that you naturally do. Now you learn in increasing knowledge, but what happens is you become subjected to the things that you learn, thus walking more like Jesus. Okay? Now, these are just truths that we're looking at. Now, the blood also protects us from the devil. The blood protects us from the devil. That's what it does. I want to go back to Ephesians 6 to show you this one. The blood protects us from the enemy. All right. Let me show you what I'm talking about right here. We're talking about the blood. Go to Ephesians 6. We're going to go down a little bit to verse. Okay. Verse 13, wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand. There it is. Within that evil day. So whenever he comes, these are the tactics that we use. The blood protects us from the devil. If you think of Passover, where the children of Israel had to put the blood over the doorpost, and I want to show you. I want to show you the contrast between the two. First of all, when the children of Israel were there, the Lord gave specific instructions that said, "Look, put the blood of the lamb over the doorpost, and then your firstborn sons will not be slaughtered." And I'm paraphrasing the text. You can read it for yourself, but we're continuing this now. Let's look at it like this. Okay, you have one family who says, "Okay, all right, we're gonna put the blood over the doorpost." Now, Daddy, do you think I'm gonna die tonight? He'll say, "I hope not, son. I hope not. You know, we, you know, and then the blood comes and then the child lives. And then the angel of death comes and the child lives. Then you have the other one, and they're praising God. They have believed that the blood has redeemed them. They have believed in this, so they're walking around. They're praising God in the midst of the circumstance, and then the angel of death comes and the son lives. So what happened is you got one person who didn't believe in the blood, and you have the other people who did. The people who believed in the blood, it was inevitable for the son to live because God had made that promise. Thus, they were not concentrating on the circumstance; they were concentrating on the promise of God. This is what we got to do. It protects us from the devil. The devil attacks our mind, and the blood cleanses a seared conscience because that's what we believe in. I could go on and there. Oh God, it Now, another point that you need to realize is that the blood designates absolute victory. The blood resolutes absolute victory. The blood resolutes absolute victory. That's what it does. It gives you absolute victory. We have victory in Jesus. We have overcame sin because Jesus became sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. We have overcome sin. Let's go to 2 Peter. Okay. 2 Peter. And, well, yeah. 2 Peter 1. Here we go. All right. Whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises, that by these you might be partakers of the divine nature, having escaped the corruption that is in the world through lust. Let me read that in the Amplified. By means of these he has bestowed on us his precious and exceedingly great promises, so that through them you may escape by flight the moral decay, rottenness of corruption that is in the world because of the covetousness or lust and greed, and become share partakers of the divine nature. That is the absolute victory, that you're no longer subjected to the ramifications of this world, because living in righteousness, you are automatically going to do the things that are in order with God. And plus, that being the precedent, then everything else falls below that. And if you're here, you don't have to worry about anything here. Sure, these things down here help you get here, but we need those things here so that other people can hear what thus saith the Lord through our testimony. Now, those are the only 3 points that I do want to bring out about that, because I have about 2 minutes left. And I do want to close subjecting the last part of that part where it says, but, and in the power of his might. We are to rest in his might, that the power can flow to us. You can look at it like faith and grace. Without faith, you can't receive grace. But because of grace, you receive faith. You got that? So they work hand in hand to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Okay? The boundless, as we saw, the boundless affirmation there of his rest. And I really hope this helps you out. But you got to realize that you are only more than a conqueror through Christ Jesus. You're not more than a conqueror on your own. In fact, you're not a conqueror. You're not a conqueror of anything but sin on your own. But because of Jesus, because of that blood, because of the power that's in the blood, plead the blood of Jesus on any situation and watch it work. Believe in the blood and watch the power of the blood work. Believe in Jesus and watch all these things come to pass. I pray that you would draw some points out of this. And I may go into part 2 of this, because we have 3 more points. Complete breakthrough in prayer, release benefits of redemption, and make sure winner. Thank you for watching Amplified Grace.